All right. What's happening, everybody? Man, super excited to be here with you guys today. We are episode 78 of Expert Mentors Live. I cannot believe it. And today you guys are in for a treat. We got Miss Michelle Saward on and joining us from, how's the weather there? Is it cold?
No, actually, it's sunny. I'm looking out the window. Blue skies, 55 degrees. I guess cold depending on what you define as cold.
What you define as cold? I would define that as cold.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's cold. It's breezy, but it's sun shining.
Nice, nice. Well, I appreciate you making the time and jumping on. I know everybody tuning in today or watching the recording are going to be in for a treat. I'm super excited because I can relate to small price point markets. And as I was going through kind of your story and everything, I was like, you know, I was really thinking through, like, I don't think we would be here today. The coaching company would have never started if we were not in a small price point market.
Really?
Because it forces you, and I know you're going to share that story, it forces you to pay attention to the details. And what happens in high price point markets that we've seen over the years is that people get rewarded for bad behavior and they get sloppy and lazy and they still get rewarded for it. So I'm super excited to jump in. I know we're going to talk about paying attention to the details, how to really, leverage yourself to a high level and, still manage to do a high volume of transactions with a small team.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I didn't think of it that way, John, that you said you wouldn't have a coaching company unless you had a smaller price point market. So that was part of the catalyst for NAEA, huh? That was like,
it was because, like I said, we had to really pay attention to every detail. And, for those of you tuning in, if you think details don't matter, or if somebody tells you that details don't matter, run away from them, run fast. And so it really is. And I know you're going to get into it. You have to look at what are all the ways, right? Making sure that you're capturing all the bites of the apple, making sure that, you're focused on, if you're spending $1 to generate an opportunity, you're not letting that thing fall through the cracks. You lie awake at night like, oh man, I forgot to call that,
Oh yeah.
Us, that $200,000 buyer, that $200,000 buyer, that $175,000 buyer, it's like, oh man, I forgot to call them back. And so you really pay attention to it. So
you do.
Yeah, I'm super excited to jump in. Let's rock and roll.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. So, I got into the business. I gave you a little bit of a brief backstory, but I got into the business in 2001. And in 2001, it was like you said, you could have bad habits and it was okay because the market was going straight like this, And so I didn't know what I didn't know, running like Forrest Gump, just,
fast as you can go.
It was like my first listing taken it was a for sale by owner. You put your commission up on top. It sold in 3 days and I was a genius. And I thought, well, how often can I do this? All right. And so you're going along and you're doing fine. And then I'm just outside of Detroit, which is the automotive capital of the world. And so when the down economy happened for us, it started in 2006. So we were the first in, last out, kind of like the Marine Corps. And that was a long run, and it was such a learning curve. And so during that time, I realized now, many years later, what a blessing that was. It was horrible, John. I went from, at that time, just a couple of years in the business, maybe selling like 50 homes a year or so, to, dropping it down in the 30s. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with me?
Right.
And that made me realize through coaching that it wasn't me, it was the economy, and it was how I was behaving and what I was doing, and so something had to fundamentally change. And what fundamentally changed was I started doing, I can say shit, right? I started doing all the shit, all the shit that nobody wanted to do in real estate. Which was,
Ask you, Michelle, I'm curious because I think this is a good lesson for everybody tuning in, especially for those that maybe got into the business after that swing and they've only experienced a great market. How long did you hang in there, keep trying to do the same old thing that was working before before you you see the writings on the wall and you gotta start moving?
Not long. Seriously, maybe 6 months tops, because I still had a mortgage payment, and you got that 90-day selling cycle. And when stuff wasn't closing and I was getting clients mad, I was like, this is no. I mean, it was 3 to 6 months. It was a fast, but I knew financially I couldn't sustain. So it was a year of a hit on the income. Like, okay, it was a year when I wasn't selling at the volume I was selling. But then the minute I realized this is really the economy that we're in now, period, then I had to, dig deep and do something different. So what I ended up doing was just doubling down my efforts. And I think at some point, and doing the shit nobody wants to do, but I think at some point, every single agent goes through this if they're in it for any stretch of time. I mean, that you realize you're going to have to go harder if you're going to grow, period. And you, when you're new, you don't have the leverage or the support or the team. You're doing everything yourself. And at another point in time, which we've all learned with these team growth, you get to a point where there's not enough hours in the day. Doesn't matter how hard you work. You're just not going to be able to do it. And so I just knew out of default, I needed someone to help with the administration side of things, because I really, all I wanted was a warm body in the office that was educated to answer emails and, and reply back to people, just to help. And so that just started as like a part-time admin. And at that point, I was probably I was back at 50, 60 deals a year. And then, because my price points were small, and I'm going to say small, when I started off, my average sales price was $125,000.
Yep.
Now, 18 years later, it's 170.
That's awesome. I can't say that for the lot market. It's still 120.
Oh, no, I'm growing. No.
Just as you're, I love going through this, kind of talking through this journey. When you first started, because here's another lesson that we've seen, that folks try to hang on too long. Did when you started to see the shift and things that were going on, were you what was what did you take to the chopping block? What did you cut?
What did I cut? Actually, John, I didn't cut. I doubled down. I added. I didn't cut. I added more phone calls, more connection to my database, taking on business that I would have turned it down before. I mean, nobody wanted to do a short sale back then. Right. Absolutely. It's hard work. It's going to take 6 months before you're going to get paid on it, probably. Did you have colored folders in your office, like certain, the real estate folders? Yes, I still do. Okay.
Did you have a particular color for each of the different types?
Actually, yeah, green was, blue was buyers, yellow was listings, green were the short sales.
Oh, we used red for short sales because they were so damn painful. We had red folders for short sales.
They're hard. And then leases, nobody wanted to do leases. If you knew it was a crappy, moldy property, you'd been through it before, you're going out in the snow and you're showing it anyway. Yep. Making reverse offers. That's another thing I was doing. Contacting, if these people hadn't heard it before, contacting the buyer to say, if you make an offer today, this is your price. It's not publicly advertised, but special for you. And it would give those agents a reason to put it back in front. I was doing things where I would run them like it was, I'm not an auctioneer, but I would run, these bank owns were doing the auction properties and stuff. So I would put the price really low on something and then say highest and best offers, deadline due by, just so I could have.
Oh, that's a great nugget. That's a great nugget for you guys listening in right there, creating that demand. We had a gentleman that was in Seattle at, over the years. He's moved over to the East Coast now, but that's what he would do on all of his listings. Even in hot markets, he would price it just a little bit low, and it would create the bidding war, and it would get up higher than what he could have even, brought it to the market at. So that's a great nugget for you guys listening in. And for those of you just jumping in, the biggest thing that Michelle said here as kind of when the market went in the tank, and she was in the tank and in one of the worst spots in the entire country.
Yeah.
is doubling down, double down our efforts.
Yes.
And that's what we always talk about. You know, everybody's looking for that silver bullet, and you found it. And the silver bullet is effort, and you just doubled down on it. You put
I
in
was
the
like,
extra effort. That's amazing.
It is. I know people don't like to hear it, but it is. The answer is just hard work, period. And so at some point though, John, what we talked about at the beginning of this call, and the reason that I'm here today was my growth sort of happened by default. It became I put in the more work, and then the demand became, I physically cannot work this many more hours, and I just need a human. And it wasn't even a licensed agent. It wasn't someone with real estate experience. It was my friend from high school who was laid off, because who wasn't? And I said, come in here while you're laid off and just help. And she, well, okay, great. I can do that, you know? And then from there, it just sort of, it grew organically. And it grew organically because I had to be mindful of the budget going into it.
Yep.
I mean, my average commission check's $4,500.
Right.
So there's not a lot of, you know, spread there when your broker
Were you at a, what were you with a franchise office at the time? Were you independent?
Yes. I worked for Century 20. I worked for 2 offices that closed during that time.
Oh, wow.
A Century 21 and a Coldwell Banker office, and they both closed.
Who was buying homes in that market at that time?
Who was buying homes? People with cash were buying homes at that time a lot. People were cashing out of their retirements and just taking the money and buying cash at that point. Gotcha. A lot of people got burned with, you know, such suffering, such losses. There was those are really, and then the investors that were just looking for the cheap deal and were waiting to capitalize.
Sure. Did you align with a few investors and work with them?
I did.
Yeah, we did too.
I really did. And then that paid back. And then doing the short sales, as difficult as it was, that to me created a big loyal database of people who appreciated what I did for them at that time. And I branded myself as selling hope. I had to tell myself a story that, okay, I'm going to sell hope to these people. I'm going to give them a path for the future. I'm going to uplift them and make them feel good about these tough choices they're making and the hard times are going. I'm going to let them see the light that in 3, 5, 7 years, they're going to think that this was one of the best decisions that they made to sell this house at this time and to work with.
Did you find that during that time that, you know, it forces you to tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, right?
Yeah. And I'm doing that again now, John, right? Because the way that the market is now.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. And for all of you guys listening in, there's a couple nuggets there I want you to make sure you guys take note of. And while you're in a good market, you want to align with those that are going to be buying when the market shifts. And so align with it's like what we always talk about, go get money when you don't need it, because when you need it, you won't get it. And so just positioning yourself that way is key. So I just want to emphasize that because the shift is going to come. I mean, I don't think it's going to be as drastic as kind of what Michelle had to go through, but we just want to hedge that, right, and align. So what I would say, just the first little bit of this call, start doubling down on your efforts now, right? There's no reason to wait for that. And then, you know, thinking through who's going to be buying and start aligning with those relationships and building. So you've got a warm body. You just got a warm body in the office helping you. How long did she hang out with you?
She's still with me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
She's still here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She went from, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Geographer to this and building to building. And she's way overqualified, but she's bilingual, whatever. It's just, she's here. So, but then that rolled into, hey, you know, I need you to get your license because I can't leverage my time enough. And I did not work for Keller Williams. I did not get their training. I just had other friends, and by being connected that were also being coached about, okay, here's what to do. I need you to get your real estate license because I can't be 2 places at once. So how about you work part-time in the office and then part-time administration, or out of the office, then part-time administration. And she got her license and told me I will do 1 buyer a month, 1 at a time. That's it. And I was like, okay, fine. I don't care. Whatever you can handle. And so then that just sort of grew into, hey, you can get a portion of the commission. I never made it about, if you sell them this house, then you get a commission. No. If you helped this person, period, no matter who procured the sale, you're getting a portion of the commission, period. Like I'm not playing the game of this buyer on this day looked at this house. No, it was you helped. You're going to be rewarded. That's it.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. I think because, a lot of folks struggle starting out getting that first admin, and then how can they leverage them a little bit? And usually starting out, it's hard to compensate somebody what they're worth. And so we look at for different ways instead of laying out cash on a weekly, bi-weekly basis,
right.
Create additional opportunities. You don't have to give exacts, but kind of talk how you structured that, to give some context to folks listening in that are thinking about that.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I think, well, actually at the time it was, I'll give you 20% of the deal, or, and we're still processing it. We're still closing it. But if you showed it, after 5:00 on the weekends, whatever, and you're helping me, then okay, that's just the bonus in your check. Like, okay, thank you so much. You got a real estate license and thank you for your help.
Right.
And they had a license in holding, and then eventually it turned into an active license. But it, that was, that helped, so.
That's big time. Right. Yeah. Create that additional leverage for you.
Yep. We just did it that way. And then, I mean, at this point, we just started, when we started growing again, and I didn't have enough to sustain somebody, because then she rolled into a full-time buyer agent and said, I don't want to do this admin anymore. And I hired an admin person. But then when we got to that point again of growth, I don't know, maybe at that point it was 100 and some deals or something, 125, like the low hundreds. I then started to refer out to another agent in my company, a referral basis. Okay. You know what?
The two of you couldn't handle.
Yep. So,
and you replaced her on the admin side, right? You brought somebody in full time.
Brought in an admin person. And then, so now I have, one full-time processor who's going to process everything that we're bringing in. And then I'm referring out to another agent in the company.
Okay.
And now the other agent in the company is writing offers, and, so we have 3 people now that are able to write offers, and we have one person that can process these things. And, those people that were getting referral business, the two buyers agents that I had that were helping me, they were now processing their own deals. They process their own deals. And then I have an admin that's processing my stuff.
Gotcha. Did you, was that just kind of standard for, having the opportunities? You just have to process your own, or did you adjust compensation a little bit, or how did you?
Yeah. I mean, I did them on, commission splits or whatever. We did like a referral agreement. That was like just a master referral agreement. So I didn't ever have to worry that the people that I was, giving these leads to, knew that if they treated my people right, I would just continue to refer to them. And so you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. And of course, those people that they closed still stayed in my database, and I still stayed in touch.
Gotcha.
So we just sort of co-branded ourselves as, hey, this is Lisa's business card. She's part of the Saward team. And then Lisa had her own individual deals she was working on too. So she had her business card for her own people, so she would just, sometimes she's with me, sometimes she's on her own, and she was always an extension of the Saward team though.
Did you have, so when your new admin got hired, did you get that admin licensed as well?
No, I don't, or no, wait, did I? I had a few, John. They would come and go. Sometimes.
Yeah, they do. And usually what happens and I think this is just a good lesson for everybody listening in, is that if you have that admin and you bring them in and you give them the opportunity to sell, compensation drives behavior. And so if they start to see that, I can make a lot more money, even if I'm on a 50-50 and our average transaction's $4,000, and I'm getting 2, I can't do enough admin work to justify $2,000. Right. I can go close 2 deals and make $4,000. Right. They exponentially grow their revenue. So you just have to be okay with that. And I've always been okay with that. It's like, I can't pay you enough with what you're worth. If you're continuing to grow, here's the better opportunity. run with it, and then I can replace you. And so that's a great lesson there for everybody, understanding that if you give them that option, most of the time they're going to take it, and you got to be okay with
it. And definitely be okay with it. That first part-time admin person I hired, that was my friend, she's going to close 60 deals this year. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. You know, I mean, now I have somebody that can, you know, do fun stuff with me too, you know? So you got to be okay with letting other people grow and know that somebody else will backfill their positions. But we did, you know, last year and this year, I closed out in the 185 range, 186, 182, whatever, like there. And I'll probably do 200 deals this year. And we did that with 2 full-time admin who are skilled and know what the hell they're doing.
Where does their job start and where does it stop? What kind of talk the details, the roles and responsibilities that you have for them?
Listing coordinator and contract to close, period. Those are the 2 jobs. And then a full-time agent, you know, on my team that did 60 deals. And I still have, now I have a couple more agents that want to do what we did before, which was I'm giving them the overflow leads. They're independent agents. They're not on my team. They're making a name for themselves. And I've got extra business where I can say to them, please be an extension of Michelle Saward. And I'm having phone calls that go like this. You know, hi, John, this is Michelle Saward. I've got Chris here in my office. He's able to get you into those homes on Saturday at 12 noon. That time still work for you? Okay, great. Chris and I work hand in hand together. You can feel comfortable calling Chris. You can feel comfortable calling me. We've got you. We don't want you to miss these opportunities. So
I love it.
You're constantly just managing expectations. And I think the way to have a small team that's highly leveraged is to manage expectations of the client constantly, and overpromise or underpromise them and overdeliver. And I won't underestimate, you need a really good like family support, because you know this business can be crazy, and anybody in real estate can say
100%. Well, I want to come back to that for sure. But talk to me a little bit about you know, because I think a lot of, you know, agents hearing that, you know, handing leads off, they're like, oh, they're going to drop the ball. They're not going to be able to do it. My clients are going to get upset. Kind of share the experience that your clients have had and what you've experienced with that over the years.
Yeah. No, they don't. They don't.
They don't. That's the whole point. They don't.
I could have a monkey and roller skates open the door for them, and as long as they got to see the house, they're happy, you know? And as long as you're staying engaged with them, you and the person that you know, and that you connect with, like say it's Chris here in my office, or it's Lisa or whoever, Amy, whatever. As long as you guys are both staying engaged and working with them and they know that you're serving them, again, it's just leveling the expectation. We're here to serve. We're here to help.
How are you compensating them if they're just helping show properties? Are you paying them per door? Are you paying them a percentage? How are you compensating them?
If you help Bob Smith buy a house, period, and it could be that this weekend you're showing Bob Smith, and then on Tuesday I got to run and show him a house. Like then it comes back to me. We're both tag teaming them. I don't ever put a client with more than, you know, it's me and one other person or whatever. Okay. Like I'm not, you know, go with, you know, this person today, that person tomorrow. But they're guaranteed that commission, period. So when you come from that space of, hey, now they've taken them out looking at properties a couple times, or they've engaged with them, you know, they feel a sense of fiduciary now with those clients. They want what's good for those clients. They've gotten to know their needs, wants, their families, you know what I mean? Their situation. Right. So I've never had where I've referred an active client to someone and they just dropped the ball and bugged out, because I don't think I can make it any easier. They don't need to process the deal.
Right. You got the administrative support to be able to help with that. Are you, are you splitting the deal with them? Or are you giving them a little bit less? What's kind of the compensation?
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing 20% and we're processing it. I give them a pre-approved, qualified, with detailed what their wants are, lead.
Right.
And then we process it and close it for them. And from their perspective, the other agent's perspective, they're happy because they could do that all day.
Right.
I mean, all day.
Right.
How many of those can you stack in a month? You're making $1,000 a month. You're taking out 5 or 6 buyers. I can't pay anyone better than that. You know, like $1,000 per name, per name.
Right. So no, it's
happy. So they close.
And then are you executing the contract, or are they helping write the contract? Or are you doing
both? If they're licensed, then they write the contract. They, they have to be licensed to show houses, but I make them, write the offer, and then from there I'll do that. I'm glad you closed the door because I have a little heater in here. I'm cooking. I'm gonna turn this thing down. A little space heater. Okay, 55 degrees. Okay. So they're writing the offer, and then we're just seeing it through. And so at the point that it's under contract, the client gets a phone call that goes like this: "Hi, this is Nicole. I work for Michelle Saward. I'm here to assist you with contract to close. You'll also be receiving a call from the title company, blah, 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 blah." Your file's in my hands. So again, managing expectations, and I'll be your point of contact. So then we can just keep stacking listings and buyers, and you know what I mean, and keep it going.
Love it. And with EXP, the model, it sets up perfect for it, right? They don't have to be on your team. They can be you can be sponsored. And hey, I've got an overflow to help me with showings. Is it something you would be interested in? Great. If so, here's how we handle them. Here's the process, and here's compensation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm overpaying, but yes, you're right, John. You could go on to Workplace and say, "Hey, who's available? I've seen it all day long. Who's available on Saturday?" I've seen people say, "Hey, here's $100 to go show a house." Okay, that's one house. That's fine. And someone may pick that up or do that. But if you're, in my group, in my tribe, then it's a little better. The thing with the compensation that I like is that you get people vested into the process, right? Because it's more than $10 a door. It's more than $100 for, I showed them this deal. I mean, potentially the percentage is a lot greater. So it does a couple things. One, they're going to care more for your clients, and 2, they're going to be more available when you need them. Right. So it works. Right. They want to make sure those deals close.
Yes, they do. So that's just, it's a good way for you guys. If you don't want to bring a full-time agent on board on the team in a team structure or whatever, it's a great model, great option there. So you had mentioned just, briefly, I wanted to circle back around to it, talking about, the support back home, touch in your home, having that support, right? Family support and structure. And, that was one of the things that I remember, with Jay and I always bringing agents on board, and even team members, admin, that was one of the things that we tried to uncover, how strong of a support system do you have? Because we all know how this business can be. So touch on that a little bit, and kind of the process that you go through to really kind of uncover that.
I want to ask you that question. I'm like, what did you do to uncover that? Actually, I want to, what do I do to uncover that? Really, it's just, I don't know. I guess that for me, it's just more of like either they got it or they don't. They just show you who they are. Yeah. What did you do?
Well, it's a lot easier nowadays, right? You can just spy on them, social media. That's all you need to know, right? You get the whole story. I really think you should do that before you guys hire anybody. You need to do your due diligence. You need to do your homework. You need to ask for references. You need to spy on them, check social media. Because if you think for one reason, for 1 second that it's going to change when they come on board with you, you're mistaken.
No,
a couple weeks in, they're going to start showing you their true colors, and social media will do that for you. So I would look there. I know one of the things that we got into, before we really started transitioning is we had that spouse interview part of the interview process, right? We would go grab dinner together, right? Or we would, meet them in the office with their support and just kind of laid it out, hey man, are you good with XYZ, right? And time and the support, what's the schedule, what's the structure? Just because we needed their buy-in just as important as, the agent, or the team member coming on, because it is demanding. I mean, you guys all listening in here, that it's not, there's late nights, there's weekends, there's bouncing around here and there. So you just want to get, the full buy-in and the support from everybody involved.
That's super smart. Like to go to dinner. When you said that you have that interview with the spouse, I'm like, what, you just call them up and got them on the line? Like,
it really is, right? Because there's the, the community events, the activities, just all the stuff that goes in, and we just really want everybody all in, and that's really what we're looking for. And are you familiar? Have you gone through and read any of Vern Harnish's stuff, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, or Scaling Up, any of his books?
No. Mm-mm.
You should check him out. He's the guy that we really paid attention to, that really taught us to scale and grow business. And Mastering the Rockefeller Habits is his first book. I would recommend it. Scaling Up is like, it can get really complex.
Okay.
We need to dumb it down a little bit here. And so, I'll never forget, we had him at EGS, might've been the last EGS that we had. And we were sitting up in the boardroom afterwards, after we got done. It was Kinder and Michael, myself, there were a few others in the room. And we were talking about partnerships. And I'll never forget this. And this really changed the way I look at it, is that if you really want to win the partnership game, the person that you have to know better than even your partner is their spouse. He said, because if you don't have the support of the spouse, partnership is not going to last. Because what happens is that, say you and I are partners and you have a rough day, who are you going to go home and vent to? Yep. And you need that person to say, Michelle, well, what's going on? That seems out of character for what John and the company is. What's going on, right? And it's like, yep, you're right. I'm, best assume positive intent, best of intention. That wasn't the intent. My thinking's off, and you need that additional push. So I'll never forget that. He's like, you want to win the spouse? Like, like where they like to shop, what they like to drink, like what they like to eat. And when a nice little reward to your agent or, your team is like, hey, why don't you guys go grab dinner this weekend? Right. And you give them a gift card to the spouse's favorite restaurant. That's how you win the partnership game. And he shared that lesson. And that's something that really we've taken to heart. And it's just one of those things that it'll serve you well. Get to know your team members, significant others, and really what makes them tick, because they'll be your biggest advocates when things get tough.
I love it. That's brilliant. I mean, I do know. I mean, my right hand over here. I've known her since high school. I stood up in her wedding. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So I know her kids and her spouse and her, we're that stuff. And actually, now that I think about it, I know a few of them here, you know what I mean? The spouses, yeah. But, and I think that just happened for me because I was just naturally curious. And the more time we spend together, then the more time we spend together,
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So they're invited to Christmas parties and this, you know what I mean? Things like that.
Yep. Yeah. You find out the little nuances, the little things that make them tick, they love. And then, when you look at, just as thank yous, you do things that are personally relevant, not to just your team, but to them. And I'm going to say, like you said, you do it on subconsciously, you do it naturally, but it's when you're aware of it and you're more intentional is where you start to see some strides. So you'll be really aware of it now and everything that you do. It's pretty cool.
That conversation, I just had a conversation with a friend of mine in Texas yesterday. I said, gosh, selling is asking like pointed questions. That's part of selling. It's asking pointed questions. I said to her, you mean I got to do this at home too? Can't I just be myself? And, you know, I don't want to have to be, you know, like I said, angling and like, you know, scheming. And she said, it's not angling and scheming. It's called communication and it's being intentional. And I was like, oh, Lisa, that is another way to look at it, isn't it? I was like, it's not scheming. It's being intentional.
Yeah.
Or because it's the same thing, but it's just the negative and the positive side, the way of viewing things, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And you know, remember, you know what Gene preaches all the time, right? Is that, you know, find out what their pain problem is and how you're a solution to help them solve whatever it is they're trying to solve. And if you just take that principle right there, it'll never feel like selling. It's just adding value, adding more value, helping them solve their problems. And it's a lesson that applies not only in agent attraction, buyers, sellers, it's your team, it's your family. It's the same principle that carries over to whoever you're dealing with. So it's fantastic. I love that.
You're totally right. Like even from, you know, starting off by hiring your first admin, it's how do you solve that problem if they would like to be paid more and they're seeing what you do?
Right.
Well, they can get a real estate license. You know what I mean? That can be, now I have a free weekend. You know, if they want to put it, everybody has to do that, right? You did it when you guys built a coaching company. You've got to go hard. You've got to dig deep until the systems get in place. And then, okay, now you can put that on an autopilot. Now you can move on to another aspect of your business that needs attention for growth, right? Mm-hmm. But you do have to go deep and you do have to go hard when just for the setup.
So you're just natural, just kind of what you said there just started making me, made me think of this question was, you know, you solve that, you bring people in to help you solve and go to the next level to grow your business. So for you, right, you've got the two admin, you've got your right hand, you've got, you know, solid team members. You also have people in your organization that are not on the team, but then that are in that showing capacity to be able to help. So like for you, what's next for you?
This is a very good question. Right now I opened a bricks and mortar space. I've been with EXP 15 months and I didn't have a space before. I didn't even have a broker's license before. So right now where I'm at is I need to get better at leveraging the systems that are in place because I cannot be everything to everyone at every moment in time. So I'm trying to tie in more with like the leveraging of EXP, all of the classes that are available online. How do I get these people exposed? What do I got to do that's available for training for them? How can I protect my time to make sure that I'm still taking in those listings so that I can make it a value proposition for them to be here? You know, I want them to feel comfortable and confident coming into this office, knowing that there is some overflow business that I cannot service at this point. I want them to know they're going to be the next go-to jam and I'm passing that torch. So really my next step is, I'd love to go to 300 homes in the next 12 months. That would be like the best thing ever. But the only way I'm going to do that is with a fundamental change, which was one of the reasons I joined EXP. I was stuck in production at 180 some deals a year and I couldn't go anywhere. I wanted to grow. And I didn't go looking for EXP. It found me, really. And when my husband saw it, he said, you have to do this and you have to do it right now. And I'm going to quit my job for you to do this and to help you.
That's awesome.
So that's what I mean by like the support, right?
Yeah.
Like
somebody that believes in you and is willing to do things like that to help you accomplish what it is that whatever you're wanting to accomplish is really powerful. And it's a great lesson for all of you guys listening in and this is what we're seeing. We actually had the same conversation yesterday and Glenn's talked about it. If you guys have listened, and there is space there. The growth opportunity is bricks and mortar, right? Just because EXP is a virtual organization, it allows you to set and put those things in place because it allows you to grow. It's the new evolution of the business. You can call it a team structure. You can call it whatever you want, but that central meeting place is going to become pretty critical in the future from kind of our viewpoint and our perspective. And definitely, it's an opportunity, right? And that's what people want. And I think that's what you shared. That was a takeaway there with your right hand is, man, just get really good at creating opportunity for people. And I mean, you'll continue to thrive and grow. And it's a great lesson that Michelle shared with everybody here today. We had a question come in from Jacqueline was asking, I think it was back when you're working with those agents and they close that transaction. Does it close under your name? Does it close in their name? How do you?
It closes in my name, and then the referral fee's on there because you can enter that in SkySlope. You know what I mean? That way.
Yep.
And then they stay in
Perfect.
my database. You know, I can't stop them from being friends with them on Facebook, or I can't stop them from calling, but I'm still the person that's going to be reaching out. Yeah.
She's just nailed the showing agent model is what has how she's got it structured. She compensates them, you know, a really good compensation. They probably, when they're maybe a little slow, they're probably, you know, hey, Michelle, you got anybody? I would. I mean, come on, you know, she's like, hey, Michelle, you got anybody that, you know, you can help with?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, you know what? Even if I'm not like too busy, I'll just be like, you know what? Here's one. This is a good one for you. Go ahead. And then I go on my boat. No, I'm just kidding.
Out of here. See you guys. No, I love it. I love it. So give a little context right now for you. You know, you've got the track record, you know, you've experienced every type of market. What's kind of your focus lead gen wise? What marketing efforts, what things are you guys focused on that's generating opportunities for your business?
Well, a couple things. I'm really just learning how amazing KV Core is. Like, whoa, like there's some cool stuff you can do. And I didn't come here for that. I didn't come to you for that. I mean, me personally, I'm keeping it old school and I'm going back to the basics. I got to pour more love back into my database because a year of building out this place with no art on the walls yet, a year of building out this place has sort of taken me off, and I've lost a lot of opportunities. And I just got to the point, John, that I can say it's okay, like that I lost some of those listing opportunities because truthfully, it was probably a blessing because I really wasn't in a headspace to be able to do that at that time. Gotcha. And I can get those clients back just like that, you know? So it was really good. And I will say we're probably going to end up closing the year at the highest production I've ever done. We're probably closing out 200 deals a year. And I need to get back to doing this and giving love to the people who have loved me over the years. I mean, November is coming up. That's like Thanksgiving, right? This is the month. That's when you're supposed to be giving thanks. Yeah. And I just need to start getting back on the phone and doing this again and going through my KV Core, and I've got them all loaded and just starting giving them some real value over the phone and saying, hey, I'm here and how can I serve? That is literally, that's my phone script. That's my script people say, oh, you got to have the script and, hey, this is a business call. Do you have a quick minute for me? Who do you know that wants to buy or sell real estate? Blah, blah, blah. Me, it's, hey, how have things been going for you? And I've been thinking about you guys. I cut through your subdivision and you were on my mind for the past 3 days or, whatever it is. And I'm staying connected to them. Because then they know that I'm sincere. Yep. And that is one of the cheapest, most effective things that I can do in this business. And then I'm going to let the online lead generation, which I'm working on, I'm starting to build a little bit more socially online presence. I'm going to let that take care of itself because stuff will come from that, period. But I still have to do that reach out. So that's why I want to leverage my time much better now with making sure everything here office-wise is supported so that I can continue to bring in listings and to continue to grow this thing.
I love it. Who do you see as your next key hire, right? You got the 2 admins.
Oh, yeah. I got it right now. I'm doing that now. Oh, I never needed an office manager before, and now I need one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody there, I think having and are both of your admins right now both cross-trained? They can do each other's job backwards and forwards?
I've had the year like you wouldn't not believe. I don't even want to begin. If that's a whole nother Expert Mentors Live. That's a whole nother.
It's a whole other. That's a whole other episode.
My 9-year veteran, rocket like a rock star, just came back to work after what was supposed to be a quick surgery. So I have 2 newbies that are learning, and they got 4 days of training, period. And so it's been hard. And we're getting it back, but we're getting there. So, but my next hire, I think, is really an office manager. What you were just talking about the bricks and mortar and the way of the future, I want to go back to that because I saw Glenn Sanford in the hallway in October, well, just a couple weeks ago, and in Vegas. And it was funny because I said to Glenn, I said to him about, he was talking about the EXP Con itself. He was talking about the event on the whole. He said, how are you enjoying yourself? I said, oh, this is great. I love meeting the people and seeing the faces and, connecting in this way. And he said, well, yes, being a virtual company, you just see, this is Glenn, you just see, the avatars, and I'm sure it's really nice for you to see the human side of things. And I said, that's not the way I was thinking at all. I said, well, it's sort of like what's happening now. Everyone is doing this online, what we're doing now. And there's this internet connection, or you've got your cell phone in your face, right?
Yes.
But now people are migrating towards cities and smaller houses and more communal kind of living. And the need for events is greater than ever because now you get to actually see the people and not just do this. It creates a different kind of community and an experience. And so it was just kind of funny that Glenn and I were having, we kind of had to level each other where our brains were at with that. He was thinking avatars and I was just thinking personal connection, period.
Yes.
And that is why, EXP is the way of the future. And the reason I built this space out was because I feel like we have a really good movie we want the world to see that's called EXP Realty, but we still have to put it out on, CD right now, even though you can get it on Netflix.
Right.
So
that's a great way. That's a great way to look at it. And it is creating those collisions, right?
Yeah.
This is key right here. So for those of you guys working virtual, you need to make sure your meetings are like this, right? So where you still have that face-to-face encounter, interaction. You want to incorporate that, but you have to design. If you don't have an actual space, or maybe that's next year or 2 years from now, you still want to design and create the collisions, right? That's why the lunch and learns are so powerful. It's not just meant for new recruits, but it's also meant for the agents local to get together, right? To have that personal knee-to-knee, type of conversations is so critical to staying connected. What is Brian Carruthers? You don't go to church to find your faith. You go to renew it, and that's kind of what you're doing. You're renewing your belief in your people, right? The belief in you, belief in whatever cause, whatever your business stands for, and whatever you guys are trying to accomplish.
Right.
So kudos to you. And it's flex space is what Glenn sees, right? It's not an actual the days of the office, right? Office, big desk and stuff. It's just flex space, being able to come bounce. Sure. And it's just, like getting on this call is like I literally walked into this country club. I'm at Gaillardia in North Oklahoma City. This is like the nicest of the nicest. Like my jaw dropped when I was driving through here. This is where all the basketball players, all the money's up here. And I was like, and I literally walked in and said, Holly had the computer up. I've got the computer right here, got the microphone, and boom, we hit record and we just jumped. And that's just the way things are moving. And you don't need a big old, office and desk, but you want to be able to create that environment that, you know, people want to come and they want to get knee to knee. They want to, you know, bring clients. They want to interact.
Yep. That's exactly what we're creating here. And like you said, if you don't have a bricks and mortar space, so what? You can jump on a conference just like this, or jump into one of the meeting rooms with, you know, for me, Michigan State, you know, broker room or agent's room or whatever like that. And hey, we're all going to meet up at, you know, Dave and Buster's, and, you know, come and let's meet and greet. And, you know, then you can, from there, just let it grow. It doesn't even necessarily have to start as a lunch and learn. It can just start off as collaborating with somebody else in the company. But I just think that that's super important to do.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Any other kind of, you know, things that you want to kind of leave everybody to really be paying attention to moving in? You know, we're here this episode, wherever you're watching it, we're in the fourth quarter, about to head into 2020. Anything that is kind of like, hey, if you guys make sure you pay attention to this moving.
Yeah. No, I'm probably like the biggest broken record when it comes to this, but I think I'm not trying to be a doomsday prepper, but I'm just, you know, saying it shocks me how many agents don't take stock of their own database or have never created a database for themselves.
Love it.
That is a gold mine. And so this is the golden nugget. If you want to grow your business, period, I don't care what magic number is your number, 200 homes, 300 homes, 20 homes, 50 homes, I don't care.
Right.
You need to start today, like going to the gym, and make it a ritual that you're going to add X number of people to your database, phone numbers, email addresses, home addresses, you know, connect their Facebook page, whatever. You know, you've got to start building that database, and you've got to build it now, because it's becoming harder and harder to reach people with this electronic connections that we have, and, you know, caller ID and all this other stuff. And if you don't have a personal connection with somebody, it's going to be just all uphill for you. And you got to work so hard to keep that. Amen. Because it's changing at the speed of light. And I mean, we all know what's happening here in the real estate game. More leads are coming to you online through a third-party resource. And aren't you pissed when you know that person when that lead comes through? I am.
You talk to them, they're like, oh, well, I was going to call you, Michelle. No, you weren't.
No, you weren't. You came in from home late, damn you. What are you talking about?
Now I got to pay them too.
You know, but yeah, so you got to build that database and just hug it, love it, and squeeze it.
That's it. You know, Dan Kennedy, you know, talked about, it doesn't matter how many people you have in your database. It matters how many people that you're proactively communicating into your database. And you shared that earlier, right? You shared, you know, the takeaway here, build the database, but man, you better be proactively loving on them in some way or another. If not, then
I am. I'm just kidding. Then I will. Exactly.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I love it, Michelle. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy, but I appreciate you jumping on, adding tons and tons of value today on our episode of Expert Mentors Live. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Michelle, what's the best way people can get a hold of you?
Probably, I would say text 313-622-1609.
Don't send her an email from @jkinder email address, because it will go to spam. We'll never find it. Terry, appreciate you. Great stuff. Yeah, Michelle brought it today. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.